There, welcome to the news on NTA International. We are broadcasting to you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. I am Musbal and Wahab on the news. The headlines. President Buhari receives updates on rising figures of coronavirus in Nigeria. Effort to stem tide continues. As global figures continue to rise, China discharges all patients in Wuhan. World Intellectual Property Organization suspends celebration, urges effort towards creating green future as expert examines implication. Thanks a lot for staying tuned in to the news, and we'll begin on the global stage as China says all coronavirus patients in the city of Wuhan, where the outbreak of COVID-19 began, are being discharged as a global death tops 200,000. Joyce Ometu is here with a review of the pandemic worldwide as a new week rolls in.
The outgone week began with a record of 2,436,811 confirmed cases of COVID-19 worldwide, with 167,278 deaths. But figures from Worldometer as at 6 p.m. 26th of April indicate an addition of nearly 50,000 fatalities from last week to have a global death toll of 203,884, while infections now stand at 2,956,897. Africa registered 22,513 infections at the beginning of last week. But the latest data by the Africa Center for Disease Control as at 6 p.m. indicates that the continent has rising cases, with the total number of confirmed cases on the continent now 30,329, a rise of over 8,000. The death toll is now 1,374. Back home in Nigeria, the outgone week started with 665 cases, but as at 11:55 p.m. April 25, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control said the country has registered 1,182 confirmed cases, an increase of over 500. Lagos tops the charts with the highest number of cases, registering 689. FCT has 138 and Kano reports 77, while Benue, Anambra, Adamawa, Plateau and Imo registered 1 case each. Out of the 27 states affected, 8 states reported cases for the first time during the outgone week. They are Jigawa, Borno, Abia, Gombe, Sokoto, Adamawa, Plateau and Zamfara. It comes as the number of fatalities in the United States passed 50,000 and number of infections nearing 1 million. 5 countries have reported death tolls above 20,000. They are US, Italy, Spain, France and the UK. Elsewhere in Asia, reports from the Chinese city of Wuhan, where the global coronavirus pandemic began, said there are no cases left in its hospitals. The city had reported 46,452 cases, 56% of the national total. It saw 3,869 fatalities. And that's it from here. Many thanks for staying. I am Joyce Ometu.
Thanks a lot, Joyce. And now coming back home, 3 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Ondo State. This is apart from the infected police officer who came into the state capital, Akure, from Lagos State. Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, who announced this, said the security at the state boundaries will be tightened to resist incidents of community transmission. Olubukola Aduo reports.
Announcing the 3 new cases of COVID-19 in the state on his Twitter handle, Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu said the number of coronavirus pandemic patients in Ondo State is now 6. One of the 3 new cases, the governor said, is one of the suspected killers of late Mrs. Funke Olakunrin, daughter of Pa Ruben Fashoranti. He announced that contact tracing of police officers and others in the SARS facility where the accused person was kept has commenced and the specimens collected for testing. Describing the manner in which the infected police officer came into the state from Lagos State as reckless, Governor Akeredolu explained that the officer was tested of COVID-19 in Lagos, but out of his own volition traveled to Akure while awaiting the result of the test. The policeman later went back to Lagos for treatment after his test returned positive. He alleged that he waited in vain to be picked up by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC) in Lagos before he decided to move back to Akure to seek treatment. In the meantime, a professor of virology and immunology at the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Professor Abayomi, has said that viruses cannot be completely wiped out as their reservoir can also lead to resurgence.
I foresee a situation that in the next anytime from 3 months and above from now, a larger percentage of the population, even in Italy, US or something, would have developed some degree of, some national degree of immunity, such that the way it's giving its own knockout effect now will start going down.
Professor Abayomi Adebayo stressed that various measures to contain the spread of the deadly virus should be strictly enforced by government. In Akure, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
Now, the efforts of the federal government to contain the coronavirus pandemic have recorded further boost with the commencement of large-scale testing of samples at the Africa Center of Excellence for Neglected Tropical Diseases and Forensic Biotechnology, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Tina Toro reports.
With a capacity of testing 500 samples at a time, the coronavirus testing facility at the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria is already in operation, with hands on deck to ensure that results are released in the shortest possible time.
Our results are quite precise. In fact, what I did was comparing exactly the result I got from Sokoto, repeating exactly the same thing here, and even confirming what we have in Abuja. All of them went as we expected it.
The testing center, fully equipped with state-of-the-art facilities, is expected to enhance efficiency in the fight against COVID-19 through accelerated and broad-based testing of samples, with a future target of testing up to 2,000 samples per day.
Diverse group from various backgrounds with a lot of expertise in molecular testing, which we are now going to use that knowledge for testing of the coronavirus.
As of today, the best facility you can think of in terms of equipment, in terms of protection for the personnel that will be involved, is in place.
Nigerians are still advised to take responsibility by staying at home and staying safe. In Zaria, Tina Toro, NTA News.
And now, as Nigeria continues to battle the coronavirus pandemic, the Ogun State government says it will begin enforcement of compulsory usage of face masks in the state from the 1st of May 2020. The state governor, Dapo Abiodun, who disclosed this while addressing journalists, said violators will be arrested and made to spend 14 days in an isolation center.
Since 27th of February 2020, when Ogun State recorded its index case of coronavirus, both federal and state governments have been working tirelessly to contain the spread of the disease. Some of the measures introduced include maintaining of social distancing, practice of personal hygiene through constant washing of hands, use of sanitizers, and wearing of face masks. Governor Dapo Abiodun says to further curb the spread of the virus, the state government will begin to enforce compulsory use of face masks from 1st May 2020.
We will arrest you if you don't wear a face mask. Because, in fact, when we arrest you, we'll take you to an isolation center. Because we will believe that you want to intentionally inflict or afflict someone with COVID-19. That's why you're not wearing your face mask. So we are taking as that we are isolating you for 14 days, during which we make you do community service. So in your best interest, please ensure that if you are going out, you wear your face mask.
He advised residents to comply with measures put in place to prevent further spread of the virus. The governor congratulated Muslims for the commencement of Ramadan and urged them to pray for the country.
Now, President Muhammad Buhari this Sunday received an update from the Minister of Health, Osage Ehanire, and Director General of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Chikwe Ihekwazu, on the rising number of confirmed cases of coronavirus in the country and how far effort to stem the tide has gone. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
With so much effort being put in by the federal and state governments in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic, the number of confirmed cases is daily on the increase. So many questions are arising from this, such as if the country is winning the fight or what other strategy can be employed to tackle effectively the pandemic that has left thousands dead across the globe and devastated economies of nations.
The fight is going on very well. As I said, all countries are continuing with the struggle against corona using the strategies that they have developed for their own countries. We have developed a strong strategy here, working with all our expert groups like the NCDC and all the other port health services and so on. So we are working also with the states and the governors. And I think that the way we are not as bad as we would have been if nothing had been done or if these measures had not been taken.
These are some of the questions Minister of Health Osage Ehanire and Director General of the National Center for Disease Control, Chikwe Ihekwazu, would have to provide as they arrive at the presidential villa to brief President Muhammadu Buhari, who is showing so much concern on the form the virus is taking to ravage the country. You want to let us?
Yes, we have given a technical recommendation first of all, from the medical point of view. And we have also brought the overall summary and position of a presidential task force, which, as you know, comprises of not only the health ministry but other ministries. And we have aggregated the opinion that we have, weighing the health and the social and economic factor and everything to present our own opinion recommendation to His Excellency the President.
Minister Ehanire also speaks on measures being taken to address a mysterious disease outbreak that has left many people dead in Kano State.
Kano government is doing quite a good job, and the situation is such that if the war is getting too big, you need more troops. So we want to be able to join and support them in the great effort that they are making in Kano.
Everybody is working very hard to solve this problem, because we know that testing really is the bottleneck at the moment into increasing the number of people that we can afford care. But it's a complex process. There are no easy solutions. I can see that some people are already procuring rapid diagnostic test kits. They don't work as far as we know. So I really recommend that we all stick to the national strategy, build on it, support its expansion, and together we'll get on top of this.
Twice, the president had ordered a lockdown in 2 states and the Federal Capital Territory to curb the spread of the coronavirus. But now that close to 30 states have recorded index case, will there be another lockdown after the expiration of the ongoing lockdown? This is what the president will decide during the week. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
We're moving now to Ekiti State, where the state government says it will deal decisively with any private health institution that harbors patients with coronavirus-related symptoms in the state. Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Dr. Mujisola Yayakolade, who gave a warning, also confirmed that 2 hospitals are being shut while contact tracing of the 4 new cases has commenced. Kende Durodola reports that more public-spirited Nigerians are providing protective materials and palliatives to security operatives and vulnerable persons in the state.
Ekiti State government has closed the private hospitals that first treated the deceased pregnant woman who died of COVID-19 in the state, with stern warning to private institutions to desist from such acts. To protect security operatives involved in the implementation of the restriction of movement in Ekiti State, the state chapter of Man No War also donated face masks to the security operatives being one of the frontline personnel to protect them from attacking the coronavirus.
During our little time stay with them, we discovered that they don't use any preventive to cover their nose or mouth or anything. This is the reason why we now deem it fit within our organization to present the nose mask for the Joint Task Force.
In this time of problem, is the Muslims' responsibility to be their brother's keeper.
The Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs in the state also presented palliatives to 500 widows across the 16 local government areas of the state to cushion the effects of the lockdown on the most vulnerable members of the public.
Very resourceful corps members produce hand sanitizers, liquid soap, spray and face masks to support the state government in the fight against COVID-19.
Coordinator of the scheme in the state, Mrs. Imanena Okunhite, said the gesture became imperative in view of the collective effort to contain the spread of the virus. In Ado-Ekiti, Kendi Drodola, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. We have more stories ahead. Stay tuned.
Make your home the place to be with GoTV's super cool kids channels.
That sounds fun.
From funky friends that'll keep even the little ones busy.
All right, everybody, let's do this!
To learn as you watch educational shows for curious young minds.
You can do some amazing things.
There's plenty for everyone. Tune in to our kids shows and get everything you need to keep the kids entertained and learning the fun way. GoTV, live it, love it.
Thanks a lot for staying tuned into the news on NTA International. The Nigerian Air Force has begun distribution of palliatives to host communities of the 6 commands in Nigeria. Dotun Ogunyemi witnessed how the activity went in Lagos and now reports. Right, we apologize for the loss of audio. That report will bring it to you subsequently. Now, moving on, as the country sustains the tempo to stop the spread and community transmission of the coronavirus pandemic, Nigerians in Uyo say the recent appointment of President Muhammadu Buhari as champion of COVID-19 response in the ECOWAS sub-region is a further affirmation of the success of federal government's proactive strategies in dealing with this dreaded virus. Clement Barikui, who spoke with some residents of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, has this report.
Apart from aggressive campaigns on personal hygiene and social distancing, the provision of high-tech test facilities, isolation centers, personal protective equipment, and giving necessary attention to the welfare needs of health workers are among the steps the Nigerian government is adopting to effectively contain the spread of COVID-19. These strategies, coordinated by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, according to some Nigerians, may have impressed leaders of countries in the ECOWAS sub-region. Hence, the appointment of President Muhammadu Buhari as champion of COVID-19 response in the sub-region.
I think the leaders, the heads of states, might have seen the development recorded, the improvement made so far in Nigeria.
Why that appointment came, it's not a surprise to people like us, because Nigeria is seen as a financial house, powerhouse in Africa, especially in West Africa.
It's a good development. It's a plus for Nigeria, but beyond that, it's an appreciation of the effort of Mr. President.
The respondent, however, urged government at all levels to sustain the current tempo in the fight against the pandemic.
We will urge Mr. President to do his utmost best in the circumstance of his recognition and appointment.
And all that is needed now is support from us, Nigerians.
With his appointment as champion of COVID-19 response, President Muhammadu Buhari is to ensure a high-level coordination of all the regional efforts to contain the coronavirus pandemic. In Uyo, Clement Barikui, NTA News.
All right, we're talking of something else, and every year, April 26 marks World Intellectual Property Day, where thousands of people around the globe celebrate the role that intellectual property rights play in encouraging innovation and creativity. World Intellectual Property Day 2020 puts innovation and the intellectual property rights that support it at the heart of efforts to create a green future, insisting that the choices people make today will shape tomorrow, and the earth as their home needs to be cared for. However, in light of the coronavirus pandemic and the need to keep everyone safe and well, World Intellectual Property Organization says it will not organize any physical events and encourages the World Intellectual Property Day community to encourage the world intellectual community to move celebrations to virtual channels, given the high number of World Intellectual Property Day events that have been cancelled around the world. The theme for this year is Innovate for a Green Future. Now joining us live in the studio to discuss intellectual property amid COVID-19 is a legal practitioner, Mr. Victor Giwa. Thanks a lot for joining us, Mr. Victor. You're welcome to our studio. All right, now let's talk about this. What role does intellectual property play in innovation and creativity generally?
Well, intellectual property, thank you. Intellectual property actually is simply innovation of the mind. Creativity, design, products that comes from the mind, that comes from your intellect. So talking about what role it plays, I mean, everything we are doing is a product of somebody's mind. The camera, the TV station, the artwork, vaccine, medicine, they are all product of somebody's mind. So it has also helped in the development of the society. President Donald Trump, about 2 days ago, signed the celebration of intellectual property, which is, of course, today, where he was telling America that America should celebrate how intellectual property has helped in the development of America in particular and the world at large. So intellectual property has helped in the development of the society and enriching the world at large.
Okay, in Nigeria, how do you situate this same innovation and creativity going side by side, intellectual property in this country? How do you situate it?
Well, we are is developing intellectual. The truth is that when you have created, you have made an innovation. Intellectual property gives you the exclusive right to that innovation, and that means that you will be given all the rights, all the benefit attached to that right, and that your particular product or innovation will be used for the development of society. But in Nigeria, we are still having a lot of issues, especially if you look at art, music, songs. People who have tried to develop their own music, their own artwork, are having challenges with benefiting from those rights. And what is the major challenge? Copyright. So there've been a lot of challenge with how people can enjoy the benefit of those rights in Nigeria. But the major challenge has been how to enforce, how to ensure that people who have used their mind to be creative, who have engaged their mind for something positive, can benefit from those actions without allowing, bystanders or some persons who have no connection to that product to derive benefit from it. So it is still developing, but we have problem with the law, enforcement of the law for the benefits of the patentee, the owner of the property.
That's right. Now, amid the COVID-19 pandemic, how do you think this role can be played?
Well, in this particular period where we have these challenges of COVID-19, the issue of intellectual property is very, very important. For example, a lot of countries are talking about the vaccine to the coronavirus. That is another term of, that is another innovation, that is another design, that is another work, and that is an intellectual property. We have seen countries, persons, companies, organizations who have come to say that, they have been able to discover or manufacture vaccines for COVID-19. one of the things that will be done is that this vaccine has to be patented. So in terms of intellectual property, even the masks we are wearing, we are seeing some innovation, some creativity, people coming up with something that can be used. So in the light of this COVID-19, the issue of intellectual property is at the front burner because people are coming with various innovations, and those innovations need to be patented so that the patentee can enjoy and derive the benefit from it. So if a company provides the vaccine or discover the vaccine, and the vaccine becomes confirmed by the World Health Organization and other relevant agency, that will be an intellectual property, and the vaccine will be used for the society, and the company or the persons who have put themselves together to provide this vaccine will enjoy the benefit from it. So in the midst of COVID-19, intellectual property has come again to the front burner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor Giwa. Mr. Victor Giwa is a legal practitioner. Thanks a lot for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right, moving on. The Oyo and Osun Command of the Nigeria Customs Service has denied an allegation by some officials of Oyo State government that the 1,800 bags of rice allocated to the state by the federal government as palliatives to cushion the effects of COVID-19 were infested with weevils. A statement by the public relations officer of the command, Abdullahi Abiola, said high-ranking members of Oyo State government, including Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development, Jacob Ojekunle, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Sadiat Oloko, and the advisor to Governor Sheyi Makinde on agribusiness, Debo Akande, as well as a representative of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management in the state, Mrs. Lasisi, inspected the bags of rice before they were allocated and certified for consumption before the distribution. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed sadness over the death of a community leader and renowned philanthropist, Mrs. Gertrude Amoke Jedi Agba, fondly known as Mama Nurse, mother of a Minister of State Power, Prince Godi Jedi Agba. The president consoled Minister Jedi Agba, husbands of the deceased, the paramount ruler of Obudu, Cross River State, Utsi Joseph Davis Agba, and the governments and people of Cross River State over their irreparable loss. Also, the Federal Executive Council condoled with the family of Jedi Agba over the loss. A statement by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, says the Council also condoled with the Adamu's family over the passing away of Hajia Fatima Adamu Baba, whose death occurred on Friday, 24th April 2020 at Azare, Bauchi State. She was aged 109. And similarly, President Muhammadu Buhari has sympathized with the Minister of Education, Adamu, over the transition of his mother, Hajia Fatima Mohammed Adamu Gamawa. The President's condolence with the family, government and people of Bauchi State. The late 106-year-old mother of a minister fondly called Baba was laid to rest in Katagum last Friday. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President's Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said she descended from the family of Wakilin Makaman Katagun and was married to the late Katagun Adamu's father. And that concludes the news on NTA International this time. Thanks a lot for your time. Join us again at 9 for Newsline. Good evening.